He's got to get on stage. Good morning, Splinterlands. Today is April 13th. It is 10:04, and it is my absolute pleasure to invite you to the Splinterlands Town Hall. With me today are a number of guests, people that you know, people that you love, and maybe even a guest or two that you don't know and love yet. With me to start, we're going to do this a little bit out of order. Why don't we get the one, the only, the famous wrestler, the man on the stage, the one with the foam chair. It is the one, the only WeirdBeard. Would you care to introduce yourself, buddy?
Hello, my name's WeirdBeard. I do tournaments and esports for Splinterlands. I also have spent the past week arguing with the marketing team about our fruit tier list. So what has started has now become a beast of its own, and I love doing these town halls.
Can you actually put that fruit tier list into chat? Because I think it might be in there.
Yes,
it's going to be a thing. That's what I'm going with. It's going to be a thing. Like once somebody sees this, they're going to be like, everybody's going to have an opinion on this.
When I say tournaments and competition, this is what I mean. Everything's a competition all the time.
Yeah, I think you're going to need. We should go do this for like Splinterlands monsters and summoners. Like rank list, and just argue. I think that has to happen.
Oh yeah.
So maybe while we're doing this, we literally got the entire marketing team to enter their fruit tier list, and we went quant modeled it. This is why we paid Liam the big bucks.
That's amazing.
This is why we have to do that. All right, next up we got Chatter. Chatter, who are you? What do you do? I guess I didn't give you a wrestling introduction, but the man that needs no fancy wrestling introduction, Chatter.
Thank you. No wrestling for me today. Just fruit quant modeling apparently, but director of marketing over here at Splinterlands. For those who don't know me, I'm the friendly Canadian on the team, amongst a few other Canadians as well, and also can't grow a beard to save my life. So that's me.
Are they not friendly Canadians? Because you're the friendly Canadian, and then you said they're the other Canadians. Are they the other ones not friendly?
Right now, this is my territory.
Okay, that's very Canadian of you. All right, and then here's hoping that his sound will work. But the one, the only, our creative director, our first employee, the one, the only, Nate. Nate, are you there? Cross his fingers.
Yes, I'm crossing my fingers. Can you hear me?
I can hear you great, Nate. Who are you? What do you do? And why are you here?
Creative director. I oversee the UX, the UI, the front end stuff, art, animation, all that good stuff. Happy to bring the community cool and interesting visuals and sound and multimedia experiences to make the game come alive.
Awesome. All right, so that's going to be your core team for this morning. We're the ones that are going to be presenting and talking and doing the things. But with us, we have a couple different guests. The first person that I actually want to bring on, I'll let him introduce himself because I actually don't know what he's going to want people to refer to him as. I think he'll go by Gavin, but Gavin, are you there? Hello?
The guys. Yeah, Gavin's fine. Thanks.
All right.
Thanks, Agred.
Yep. So I guess I'm seeing that one question. I don't like to respond to all questions, but I think this is fair. The question of will Matt be on? So what we're doing, we have 4 different product teams that are doing like hardcore coding. Matt's on a team, InvestYGator's on a team, or William's a team lead. I'm forgetting somebody, but we have Cryptomancer. So we have a variety of devs, and rather than like keep the devs on the call at all times, what we're doing is basically one time per week we're going to bring in one of the other like key devs, and so that you can hear about. You're not going to hear about every project the same way that we'll often do, but you're going to hear about one project more in depth than some of the others. So that's kind of the way that we're going with this. But the guy that I just introduced and then got sort of nerd sniped from talking about is Gavin. Gavin runs a website called EarnKeeper, and I think it's a pretty cool platform, and they have already integrated some nice analytics about Splinterlands into what they're doing. So I invited him on. I wanted him to tell the community. I wanted the community folks to get involved and to try to steer some discussion and decision-making for Gavin's team around what you guys want to know, what you want to see, and kind of do that in the context of what they've already built. So Gavin, that's as much of an intro as I can do for you. Welcome to the show, and why don't you tell the Splinterlands audience about what you built and what you're doing?
And thanks, Zagrod. That was a great intro. Hi, guys. Yeah, my name's Gavin. As Zagrod said, I'm the founder of EarnKeeper.io. I just want to start off with a big thank you to Agrod and the Splinterlands team for supporting and promoting community as much as you guys do. It's amazing. Like, not every game does, and I've spoken to a lot of games around analytics, and you guys do an amazing job. And so, thank you very much, and thanks for a little bit of time on your show. I'll just give you a quick prepared intro into what we do, and then we can have a sort of casual conversation around that if you want me to deep dive. So a little bit of history. We started out late last year as a hobby project, analyzing one of the games on the Binance platform. It wasn't one of the fun ones. It was one of those ones where you earned money until you suddenly stopped earning money. You probably know the ones I'm talking about. It was a React app that we made. We covered it a little bit on Twitch. It got a lot of attention, like 1 million page views, 5,000 active users every day. It was amazing fun. You know, there were 1,000 people on our Discord talking strat game, which metrics were important. They were showing off their battle histories from the app. We were just living our best lives. It was an amazing time. That game didn't manage its economy perfectly, so it didn't last. And of course, we wanted to keep the train moving. So we had loads of support from our Discord with offers to help to add to the site from both developers and gamers. And that's where EarnKeeper was born. So EarnKeeper is an open source platform that supports any developer contributing data and metrics to any game. We take care of the front end. We make it look slick. We make it responsive. We make it mobile ready. And then we leave the developer community to focus on fetching the data, analyzing the chain, and then using our set of widgets to display what they've got to users. So we just released our first plugin, which, as you can tell, is for Splinterlands. It was a no-brainer for us to start here, given the community around this game. Already a shout out to the Splinterlands guys, but also a big shout out to Trash Dragon, Old Man, and Crypto Llama. You guys are great. They've been helping the whole way through and giving advice on what gamers need. So how does it work? What is it? I'm not sure if you guys can see my screen. Hopefully you can, where you can see our homepage. Let me know if not.
Yeah, we're good. We can see it.
Cool. Okay, so I'll start here, which is the marketplace that we all know and love. And then I'll compare that to EarnKeeper.io, where we also have a marketplace. So this marketplace is fetching from the API. It's very similar to other third-party tools and what Splinterlands provides. But I'll use this to explain our goal. So this marketplace, of course, is developed by the Splinterlands guys. They've got a lot of responsibility on their shoulders. You know, when they make updates, they want to make sure they don't have downtime. They want to make sure their payment systems are working. There's a whole load of stuff that you need to check before you deploy here. What we want to provide is the other side, the community side. You know, where what you see is all open source. Everything you see here is available on our GitHub as we speak. That includes how do we get the data from the API, how do we crunch those numbers, and then how do we display it on the site? You know, which widgets do we use? How do we display this table? How do we enable these filters, etc.? And our absolute goal is, we're not quite there yet, but we will be soon. Our absolute goal is to not be the gatekeepers of this data. Any developer who understands JavaScript or Python will be able to take the code we have, create their own plugin, add it to our plugin marketplace, and then the users of our site, the gamers, will be able to pick and choose which plugins they enable. Same way you mod a game. You know, remember back in the days when we were modding Skyrim, making it look better and all the rest? You get to choose your mods, and you combine them in such a way where you think it's just right, and this is how I want to play the game. We're trying to provide the same experience here. You pick and choose between plugins. They can all interact with the same pages, or they can add new pages. And so the community now has a chance to contribute and not have to do a pull request to me or anyone else. Add it to the site, the marketplace will choose. So as you can see here, this is the marketplace. We have already implemented pages here. Some of them my team has done. This one here has already come from a third-party developer. Really great Filipino guy who I found in the Splinterlands Discord. He made an awesome tool, you know, as you see, where you can put in a mana cap and a league name. and you'll get summaries of battles that have been done and team compositions that have been done in that league. You can filter by splinter. On our alpha site at the moment, which is updated daily, we just added today the ability to filter by your current quest. So you can only show teams that, you know, satisfy your current quest. So he made this great tool, but as a user, it was tough for you to use. You had to download something to your computer and then run it locally. So we've now enabled him to get a wider reach, you know, get in front of more users, get more feedback. And of course, the site you can use on desktop or on mobile. So that's our goal. We want to stand in the middle. We're very fortunate that we've managed to find investors who are gamers, who love the concept, so we're funded. I'm hiring developers as we speak, and those developers are fleshing out this platform. They are ready and waiting on Discord for anyone to ask questions. And we, as you can tell, we're getting great support from both the games and the content creators in the community. We offer a freemium model. Sorry, yeah, go ahead.
Well, real high level before you get into the pricing. So It's not, you know, you've talked a little bit about the market, but what do you think is the primary benefit? Who should use this site and why? What information are they going to find here that they're not going to get elsewhere? What is the like key differentiator? Because it's not the marketing piece or the market side of this that I think is what you're really driving at. It's the
Absolutely, it's not the market. No, what we want to do is add metrics to the market. We're definitely not trying to be the cheapest. We're definitely not trying to be the best payment experience. We're trying to take what exists and then allow the community to add metrics on top of it in a relevant, easy to use way as a user. For example, in this market,
what are those metrics going to help them do? My guess is that this comes down to picking monsters that help you win and picking monsters that seem to be undervalued on the market. Is that correct? Are there other things that are here?
Yeah, so I always say that this is a tool set. You know, so two examples on the market. So you can go to the market and you can do something like, okay, I want to look at cards that have had more than 10 battles and I want to sort them by win rate. Now that win rate does not mean I'm just going to straight buy that card. You know, I don't think anyone uses it that way. It's if you're a bronze player and now you're deciding, okay, I want to make that push up the ladder. I'm now ready to spend some money, and I need 1,000 power. How am I going to do that? Absolutely, there are great tools out there that do that already. Well, give you metrics on which you can base that decision. One of them maybe being popularity, the other one being win rate. I don't want to profess to be an expert on Splinterlands, but I do want to provide a place where, you know, that stuff you use to choose, maybe you're doing a spreadsheet. Can we get that into a tool so it's nice and easy to use? So that's the idea behind the platform.
Yeah. So guys, I think that this thing is really about the analytics. And there's not a lot of places that you can go. I mean, I know that we all use Yasek's sort of charts that he puts out, but those, you know, they don't live in nice, convenient websites like this. I think that there are some tools that people use to analyze things, but this is really one of the first, you know, public areas where you can go out, get some data that you can use to make either financial decisions or game decisions of how you want your lineup to look like. So if you're not a dev and you haven't been able to go kind of compile this stuff on your own, here's a way that you can kind of like dive into that. So I don't know. I thought that this would be pretty handy. If some of you guys are developers, I hope that you talk to Gavin. He's in Discord now, so you know you can look at the screen there, and maybe you can type in the chat. Just make sure you type something so that somebody can find you later. But you know, if you're developers and you're like keen on like, wow, I really wish X existed, or there's some way that I could get this data. You know, I think one of the first people that's going to help make that happen is Gavin. And if you're a developer and you want to see it happen, but you like the back end and you hate all the front end crap and you don't want to maintain a website and all that other stuff, you know, here's a way that you can go kind of build this one plugin real quick, get the information you're looking for anyways, but not be responsible for running the whole site. So hopefully this open source model of getting analytics that you guys can then use to make data-driven decisions, I think will be popular. You're all a bunch of nerds, and I think you'll like this data.
Yeah, I just want to add on to that we are funded, so we have full-time devs waiting to chat to you guys. So it is open source, which I love, but we're also so fortunate that we've got people full-time that can help. And I'll just very quickly just talk about that freemium model because I don't want to scare anyone. Nearly everything is free. If you do want to get rid of those ads, and if you want to have access to more historical data that goes further back in time, there's a subscription that you can pay to do that. That subscription is shared with the third-party developers according to the popularity of their work. And of course, it's used to fund our ongoing endeavors to try and keep this thing sustainable. So to remove ads and get longer history to work on, there is a subscription. Everything else is free.
There you go, guys. So thank you, Gavin. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for working on this tool. If you're a heavy data guy, please go message Gavin and try to get whatever tools built that you want. And if you're a dev, please go message Gavin and say, hey, here are some things that I think I could contribute. It seems like Jen's already gets it. So it's gatekeeper.io. So come check it out. Come work with them. And
EarnKeeper. EarnKeeper.io.
What would I say? Gatekeeper? Sorry, it's EarnKeeper.io. Yeah.
I'm going to go try register that domain too. Sounds cool.
Sorry. Yeah, I don't know why I said Gatekeeper, but EarnKeeper.io. Try to nerd out, guys. Okay.
Thanks. Thanks, everyone.
So let's get back at this. I think this week, and I'll probably try to just like I try to get the external guests to come on and be able to get off quickly. I want to go bring on some of our. I want to start bringing on the devs so that the devs can kind of hop in, give us some commentary, talk about what they're doing, and then get on with their days so that this is not like a full hour-long experience for the devs either. So let's go hop into a quick chat with InvestYGator. Are you there, Gator?
Yeah, is my mic working now?
Yeah, you're sounding great.
Okay.
So do you want to tell us, who you are, the kind of team that you're on, and at the highest level possible, what is your team working on?
So I am the team lead for the Dragon Riders team, which was formerly the Rapid Development team. I'm here kind of to fill in for Richard and Matt this week, since neither of them were available, and answer any dev-related questions or give a little talk about what we're working on. So we finally have a date planned for the next production update. We are looking at the 19th, so a week from yesterday, where we plan to roll back out the hide opponents and about 40 other fixes and changes that we've had queued up in the pipeline for the past several weeks. A bunch of performance improvements, so we hopefully don't have any issues that we ran into last time trying to do the update.
And then, so the rapid deployment team has kind of got like a little bit of a funky mission. So as opposed to like the land team that's really specific to just the land project, can you give some sense of like what it is that you guys work on here?
We work on pretty much everything that is not land or SPS validators. So the ranked rewards changes that are coming up, we're going to be working on the Rift Watchers card set implementation, voucher store implementation, fixing issues with the game, adding new APIs for peak monsters and other third-party market tools so people can query data, fixing up the tutorial, pretty much everything Splinterlands, other than land.
So, some people I think would really be excited by that, and some people would be really annoyed by that, kind of going between all these different projects. Like if I told Cryptomancer he was working on a different project every week, I think he'd slap me. So is there something about your mentality that makes you a good fit for this, or like, how do you like handle having to go hop between all these different projects without kind of like driving insane? Is there like a thrill to each trying to figure out each different puzzle, or where's that come from?
Yeah, it definitely keeps it interesting. There's a lot of different things that need to be done and a lot of different parts of the code that need to be worked on. It's not just me. We've got a team of 4 other developers that are working on this. Meloman, Sicarius, Antioch, and Fartaped, trying to use their in-game names. And it's, if you enjoy lots of different problems, it's a good team to work on because it's not just one thing that we're focused on.
So out of all the things that you talked about, I think one of the most anticipated, we have two big anticipated ones. The like Rift Watchers coming up, I think is going to be pretty big. But along with that, getting these rank rewards changes, I think is pretty important. That we all want to be rewarded more for playing, and right now we need to kind of tweak things to make it so that rewards are going to the right kind of participation in the ecosystem and the environment. One of the guys that we hired recently, his name is John, and he goes by 16-bit. And one of his favorite phrases is that you basically only have two things to influence decisions, and that's leadership and incentive. And the rank rewards is all about changing incentive to make sure that the community is doing the stuff that we want. And that's playing the game, engaging with the game, and doing a bunch of battles. So can you give us kind of a status update on how rank rewards is doing, what's left to be done, and what's it going to take to get that over the finish line?
Yeah, I can talk about rank rewards for a little bit. So at this point, we are trying to work with the creative team to get a finalized UI UX design for everything. Most of the back-end work for implementing it has been done at this point. So there was a few high points that from talking with Matt about what I could talk about on the stream. So the biggest thing is obviously that we're going to be incentivizing card ownership more, in that the ghost cards are no longer going to provide you benefits towards earning rewards from the game. We're going to make some changes to make it easier for new players to still get real cards when they buy their spellbook. We are also going to be implementing changes that people will get more rewards pretty much across the board, or be able to get more rewards across the board in all the different leagues. Though the way that you earn rewards is going to be changing. So the daily quest system is going to be getting reworked so that you will basically, as you play, earn towards your daily and seasonal quests, which is also going to have the added bonus that now older cards and gold foil cards will actually be contributing more towards your quests. So it's not just going to be a simple 5 and done. It's going to encourage people to play more. And hopefully it'll be something that everybody's going to like about the game.
Now, do you have a sense of timing for when that thing is ready to go, when we're going to get kind of these tweaks implemented, or even just start knowing what the actual changes are going to be? Do we know when the kind of post describing this will be coming out? Those are kind of the first two questions that are in my brain.
Matt has a draft post that I'm not sure what the timeline is when he's going to release that. I think probably when we've got a little bit more of the UI stuff finalized. But hopefully, this is our top priority, so we're hoping to get it out at the end of the month, beginning of the next month. Probably after that, we'll see Modern Wild and maybe Voucher Store, but we've got a lot of people doing development, so there'll be a lot of other things that are getting done every time we do a patch, but those are probably going to be the big focuses you'll see coming up.
All right, and then let's take a couple minutes for Rift Watchers, and then we'll let you get back on with your day. Do you want to talk about what Rift Watchers is, and then what we're designing, or timelines, or just what do you know about Rift Watchers, and what do you think you can share about it so far?
At this point, not much. It's still kind of in the design phase, so it hasn't really been passed over to us. I have seen one new ability come through that we're going to be coding. So there's going to be at least that in the new set. It should be fairly soon. What's been discussed, I think, previously is that we're talking about having the set be sold for SPS and possibly vouchers. And it's going to be an expansion set, not a full set, kind of like Dice was with Untamed. And hopefully it'll make the game more interesting and shake up the different strategies across the different leagues.
Yeah. So that's let's see, and from like a financial perspective, I'm not 100% positive, but I think though I think the way that this is going to work is that all of the proceeds of that sale, the sale will be done in SPS and SPS alone, and the proceeds will go to the DAO. So this, when we release this second pack, it is not something that is meant to, facilitate earnings to the Splinterlands Corporation, but to the player owned SPS staker owned DAO. So you'll be able to go get, you'll spend SPS. The SPS will go to the DAO. It'll have a bigger, pocketbook available over there, and the players, instead of having Splinterlands employees get enriched, this is how money goes to the community as a whole. We get new cards, but we also get and new abilities, and it's kind of this fun new set and addition and changes up the meta. But the benefits of this go to every single SPS token holder. Does that ring true to you? Is that kind of what the plan is from what you've been hearing and seeing?
Yeah, that is my understanding of the plan for wristwatches.
Yeah. So hopefully players are excited about that. It sounds like it hasn't really reached out of the creative land and into development land, but I think we have some like general roadmaps for when we think this will be ready. Do you know what month of the year or what quarter at least do you think that this is going to be part of?
I'd have to go back to the roadmap. I think we were targeting by end of Q2, so probably in a couple months, probably after Modern Wild comes out, and which will be after ranked rewards. So maybe end of Q2, which I think is end of June, July, that time frame.
Yeah, that's my rough understanding too. So a couple more months and we'll get this out, and I think players will be excited for it. All right. Well, I appreciate your work. Thanks for being here. Thanks for helping to keep all the different projects going, staying sane while switching gears a lot, and just appreciate your work here, and thanks for leading the team.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and I'll try to help answer questions in the Discord chat.
That sounds good. What I want to go do now is kind of talk it through with Chatter. And Chatter, maybe you can go give us a bit of a marketing update, and then WeirdBeard, why don't you take it from there and sort of go all things marketing for this next segment.
Perfect. Yeah. So from the marketing side, partnerships and really just getting a lot of Guild Foundation in place this past kind of 2 weeks has been really top of mind for us. So we're looking to kick off partnerships with a few different companies. One is going to be Rad AI. They're a AI company that's essentially looking at all of our different social posts, any different social engagements across the board, from either Splinterlands or users talking about us, to help kind of combine everything into the most engaging messaging possible across all of our socials. It enables our ad platforms, kind of so on and so forth there. That's going to be a huge win in our books. We're testing out the model for them. So really helping build a business case for the crypto side of things, not necessarily going in super cost heavy for anything, but they're also going to help us do a lot of the affiliate activations and campaign engagements on the backside of their initial kind of groundwork there. So that will help us really start building the model for what is going to be affiliate marketing down the road. The biggest, I think, hurdle that we've been running into is, as we've been talking to the people who are like managing Shrouds and Dr. Disrespects and all those kind of big name streamers of the world, is they're asking for these like mid 6-figure contracts to even get started right now. And obviously it's very hard for us to jump in and say, hey, we're going to spend $500,000 on affiliate activations and campaigns without really proving out that model. So this is going to be a huge first step for us in the right direction of just really making sure that there's an ROI against the kind of affiliate campaigns and activations and everything there. But really excited to see how that entire kind of stream of acquisition starts paying in dividends for us, hopefully. Other things we're working on, as I mentioned, guilds are going to be a huge one. I want to give a big shout out to Guillermo on our team. He is one of our Discord developers. He's actually created a bot for any guilds who are managing scholars to manage their scholars within just like a whole bunch of Discord commands and automate a lot of stuff coming into their servers. So we just finished testing out that. That's hopefully going to be rolled out to guilds in the next kind of coming weeks here for those who want to try it out. If anyone has any questions about that, please feel free to reach out to me as well on Discord. But otherwise, looking at kind of more analytic side tools, GameSite is also going to be hopefully doing some affiliate stuff with us on the back end. I did see a question in the Discord prior to Town Hall starting just about what's happening with ads and all that fun stuff. So quickly address that now. Looking to kick off with Snapchat pretty soon here. Google and Facebook are our two biggest pain points right now. Just to give everyone a little bit of context as to how we were working is everything was getting disapproved on Google and Facebook just due to cryptocurrency regulations. So we worked around, we created a subdomain against it because the reps were just like, okay, great, should hopefully fix everything if we take out crypto verbiage or blockchain verbiage and then just create a completely separate landing page. Due to all of the fake ads that we're getting on Google and some other kind of big social medias, we had to shell that under splinterlands.com. So it's going to be register.splinterlands.com. If anyone wants to kind of test out what that's going to be, it's really just going to be a sign up form that's going to trigger an email automation that sends users back to the website. But that's still getting disapproved right now. So we're just in the process of Facebook and Google manually approving our ads. So hopefully in the next week or so, we're good to go there. But that's been a 3-month long kind of battle trying to get all those things up and running. But hopefully we're reaching the finish line here pretty soon.
And it's been fun getting something like 64 ads denied by Google into my email box.
Yeah, it's been pretty brutal there. And also just thank you for everyone putting up with the fake ads that are going up. None of the ads that you're seeing on Google are real right now. So please report those as you see them or just tag me. I'm reporting those on the daily right now. But Noda, who's our head of security, he's going to be hopefully working with another company. And that's, I think, going live as of May 1st is what we're hoping, which is just going to eliminate all of those in the future. So hopefully 2 more weeks of kind of pain point there, but then after that, we'll be good to go with the fake ads as of kind of May 1st. So hopefully all of them are going to be completely deleted. So fingers crossed there. But otherwise, on the marketing side of things, Stream Team is getting going. Huge shout out to Ron for all the work he's done there. Bulldog, he's doing his Learn to Play streams on Fridays again. If anyone's around end of day on Friday, make sure you go check those out. And then otherwise, just a whole bunch of kind of PR to get more articles out about Splinterlands. We're getting a Wikipedia page created, all that other fun stuff, just to try and build up some brand recognition from our side.
So out of all the things that are sort of going on right now, what do you think is going to have the biggest impact? I know there's development and there's, some announcements in the works, but out of like what's on the plate right now, what do you think is going to help drive more user adoption?
Yeah, I think the affiliate stream is something I'm really curious about. I think being able to figure out the best way of efficiently running a whole kind of affiliate and influencer stream of acquisition is going to be huge for us. But it also ties back to how do we do like ghost card tournaments that WeirdBeard's working on with those streamers, and how do we get like a whole FaZe clan or look at like the offline TV house and get them to do a whole tournament with us, or maybe like a charity event or something for brand awareness. I also think ads, if we do hopefully figure out all the YouTube and Facebook stuff, are going to be another great means to that. But again, it's this whole flywheel, right? Like how do we get influencers to act as like more of a top of funnel brand awareness tool for us? And then as users are kind of poking around the website and looking at what Splinterlands is, how do we use ads as like a retargeting mechanism to bring them back and really help kind of convert them and everything else there. But I think we're getting pretty close to having all that done. It's been a huge battle for us, as I said, the past couple of months, but hopefully this is kind of the end of the tunnel.
Sweet. Okay. I guess WeirdBeard, do you want to go kind of chime in on that and talk about talk about tournaments and maybe brawls have started coming across your radar here too. Like what's top of mind for you?
Well, following up really what Chatter was talking about there, I really think tournaments is going to be the way that we get new players in, right? Like it's one way in marketing to just be like, hey, we have a cool game, come hang out at this cool game. Like it doesn't stick as much as if we go, hey, here's a brand new tournament format that's going to be really attractive to maybe players that don't have a ton of cards or like resources in the game already. Here's a way for you to be able to get in. It's like giving them a little piece of candy before they get all of it. So using tournaments as like a leverage stick to really reach out to new communities like Magic the Gathering, or if people that play Hearthstone or people that are Yu-Gi-Oh players. Like we've talked about this before. I really think tournaments is going to be the way to be able to target some of those larger streamers with their audiences, because we can't just go to them and say, hey, tell people about Splinterlands, right? Because they don't get it. Because then what they get instead is like, oh, I have to go and set up a wallet. Oh, I have to go and figure out how to play the game. Oh, I have to go and, like buy some cards. But and then they have to figure out all these different like systems and mechanics and whatnot. So using a really easy entry tournament is going to be huge to be able to use as like the outreach thing. And that's, like I don't want to speak too much out of line here, but it's like I know that there's movement behind the scenes with the dev teams on some of the things that I've been, talking about putting together over the past couple of weeks. So I should be able to have like concrete, super exciting announcements over, the next month and a half or so, I hope. But that's just for stuff that is in the future. As far as stuff that's happening right now, when players go and start seeing new tournaments starting this weekend on, you're actually going to be seeing entirely different naming structures for all the tournaments. So we've worked really hard with a creative team. Shout out Breaking Benjamin, not the band, but the the creative member, and who's gone through and actually grounded all of the tournaments in current lore. So you'll be able to enter into things like the Victor's Modern Invitational, which happens at the Victor's Coliseum. And the lore is all like the flavor text at the bottom is now built into current day lore. And it also sets it up really nicely so that when Wild and Modern does come, we already have a way for players to be able to tell, hey, here's the Wild tournaments, here's the Modern tournaments, makes it really simple and streamlined. We've consistently been having tournaments that have been hitting 250 players and above. Some of them are noob tournaments. Other ones are, we're seeing a ton of players entering into the Silver Shield Knights, both modern and wild formats of those. Averaging almost like 270 to 290 players entering into those every single time that they run, which is really, 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 really cool. Last week I talked about how we cut down the average length between when somebody would make an account and how long until they entered into their first tournament. Because we're working on it, we can't announce when this tournament is going to be happening, but very, very soon we will have a one-off tournament that we're looking to run with an outside tournament organizer, that not only is geared towards low-level players like bronze, silver level, with a very cool prize pool, but on top of that, we're moving towards having tournaments have sponsors attached to them. Like that's our goal, right? Because it's not like tournaments are technically a net negative. Like we know this because we're paying out prize pools, but that's like in design, right? But on top of that, we want to be able to start really approaching some of these larger groups like a HyperX, like a G Fuel, like a Razer, like a Lenovo, like anything that if you were to tune into modern esports and look at like something in the LCK, LEC, ALGS, Valorant Pros, any company that's advertising with them, we want on our esports programs as well. So we're really looking at building some of these not only cool tournaments inside of the game, but also creating these one-off unique tournaments that we're able to attach sponsors to, bring in money through those, and also, use those to do really cool live streams. We did a really dope one with community gaming that was about a month ago now. And working with some of those partners that were able to make this so that it's not just Splinterlands players playing against Splinterlands players. Like we want new players to be coming in off of these tournaments. We want it to be like somebody sees the stream and they go, wow, that looks so dope. I want to be involved with that. and be able to go through that. And that's just for the tournaments. As far as brawls and guilds, I've already started reaching out to a few people. We've had some internal discussions about how kind of like what steps and what crossover there is between tournaments and brawls. But the big thing, that is starting to become apparent with brawls and tournaments is that it's less about the actual brawl system. It's more about the elbow grease to keep up with where it's grown. We want to be encouraging people to go through and create guilds and enter into these brawls, but it's like, what place do they have in the overall ecosystem? Like when I talk esports, I see it as like, hey, if we have a competing esport team, they should have a dope guild, and that's what they're competing out of. And then in these brawls, you can build brawl versus brawl type events, and you can have it to where it's guild versus guild and guild recruitment events, and like all these different unique stuff start coming out of there. Again, as always, we're kind of at the whims and mercies of our dev team and product team, but that's to be expected. So I'm not angry about it, but I'm understanding of like, there's a lot of things that people are juggling right now, but I think the team is really strong on understanding that like tournaments is the way that we do outreach. It's not just telling people, hey, come play this cool game.
Rock on. I hope to come back or just engage this discussion a bit more, but I know Doogie has to leave pretty soon. So let's go get Doogie on air, kind of come on, talk about some of the project management he's working on and kind of some of the things he's seen across teams and across like basically, I think more or less the whole company. Do you kind of walk us through some of what your highest priorities are right now, Doogie? And I guess start with what you do and then get into some of the highest priorities and how things are going.
Yeah. So hi, I'm Andrew. I go by Doogie, but my role here at the company is the VP of project management. And yeah, my focus, my entire goal in life is really nailing out the process so that when we're working on these game updates and features and development, that we can roll it out as effectively and efficiently as possible. But from a larger company-wide perspective, we're growing pretty significantly when it comes to the amount of teams and developers and other players involved in terms of actually building out these products and these releases. It's really neat to see. And then as the teams are growing, like you can also see this unity of everybody coming together and like starting to really get that high speed train energy kind of running and taking off more and more. But to that point, and even to segue back into the conversation, like the conversation on tournaments, that was something that after last town hall or the one prior, WeirdBeard and I were talking about after the fact. And then I started working with our analytics team and our database team and taking some of the information that he's been able to gather or some of the relationships that Chatter's working on and kind of bring everything together and see where, okay, here's some data points, here's some of our opportunities, here's some of our missed opportunities. This is something that we care about, and let's go make sure that this reaches up on the priority level so we can help make some of these things happen for the community. And so far, that's been a pretty good success. We're getting there.
You know what I like most about Doogie is the fact that these product team meetings, I think there was 1 or 2 days where every single product team meeting we were in, he was wearing this pilot's helmet, like just to show he means business. I think it set the tone for those meetings.
I might need to do that here on stream.
I think we should all wear helmets.
That's the creative director, folks. Okay. So what are the highest priorities? What are you trying to help us get over the line?
So right now, the way that we're kind of approaching this, and I know it's one of the things that has been like a pain point for the team, but we're really passionate about getting out, but is this next release that we have coming up with some of the changes that are we wanted to get out previously, but then we were running into the what's the word I'm looking for? Just degradation of server quality issues. So we've got those fixed, and we're super excited and ready to get that out. And then from a, that's like next week, but from a larger perspective, it's really wrapping up ranked rewards, being able to get that out the door along with Modern and Wild, and then kind of keeping the validators coming in and working on land and other developments in the background as we can keep moving that marker closer to getting those out as well.
Yeah, I mean, I get the sense that you're kind of working across the board, across the teams, and trying to keep people sort of on track. Yeah, are you a bit of the whip, like the gotta keep pace, or is it more like planning, or just like making sure that we're thinking about all the things that we need to? Like, how do you see the role?
A little bit of everything, all of the time. So it's really when I'm sitting in the meetings, like I don't have the experience that our devs do. I don't have the creative talent that Nate and the creative team has. But what I do have is some reasonably good organizational skills. And then when I'm in all these meetings, I can sit there and go, I've seen this before, or we've done this before. Have we considered that? So it's just making sure that nobody's getting forgotten about, that everybody has a voice, and that we're thinking about the right things and not just diving into something head on without considering consequences or other things happening.
Okay. Well, I want to hop back over to Nate. Nate, I'm sorry that I poo-pooed wearing helmets. I will wear a helmet if you find the appropriate helmet for me to wear. I'll wear it in good sportsmanship here.
Oh, heck yeah.
So that'll next. We have some important announcements coming out. So I think they're happening tomorrow. And so the next town hall meeting, I'm sure everybody's going to ask me about these, and I'm going to be wearing a helmet. Should
Perfect.
be awesome. Yeah, no better way to like come out with an important update than to wear a helmet. Okay, so tell me, Nate, what do you? So just you got to remind everybody what you do, because there's so many new people that watch these streams, and then once you do that, can you kind of talk through what your highest priorities are? You're managing a pretty big team now. Like how do you prioritize, and then like what's top of mind for you?
No, for sure. I would say that a creative director. I mean, something that's interesting is like for the last 3-4 years, we've grown. Well, not up until the last 6 months or whatever. We've grown accustomed to a certain workflow where you or most of the time Matt is coming up with an idea and say, "Hey Nate, we have this idea. Let's do this." And then you drop it in my lap, and I'm like, "Okay, well, it's an idea, it's a concept, sounds good." And then I figure out the UX, and I figure out the UI, and then I grab some art and I do some animation, and then I do this, that, and then I finally hand it back to a dev who kind of like codes it and pumps it out, and there we go. And now as we scale up and grow the company, and I gotta have to take a step back a little bit, at least, or maybe even a few steps back. I need to hire really great people who can do what I was doing, but maybe in a more specialized role. So one person for UX, one person for UI, so forth and so on, and kind of like create this rock star creative team that hopefully will be able to output something way better than I ever could alone by myself. And so it's a process. There's a lot of growing pains involved with that, but there is a common theme. I feel like for the longest time, and to a certain degree, I continue to be that bottleneck. So when people are in Discord getting mad at the devs, you should be mad at me. I mean, every time there's a product team meeting or an update or something like that, it's like, okay, let's do land, Nate, and then, hey, let's do Modern Wild. Hey, Nate, and let's do ranked reward change, Nate. And everyone's saying, well, how is this supposed to look? How is this supposed to function? How do we make this intuitive and figure out all this stuff? Because how the artist's supposed to do their jobs, and how are the devs supposed to do their jobs? How is everyone supposed to get stuff done if that design isn't prepared and ready, and the specs are good to go, and everyone knows what the hex values are, and the margin, the padding, and you just get all that ready to go, so that the front end can be what it is. And so I would say that's probably our biggest challenge, is that it is, we've had a heck of a time trying to find really, really good UX UI people. And that's probably, I've said it before, and it continues to be our biggest focus, is trying to find really, really good UX, UI designers, UI artists, and things in order to flesh out that whole UX part of the pipeline. And we're making strides to do so. We got recruiters out there, we got job boards, we're exploring all the options and possibilities, not just to attract anyone, but to attract AAA game studio talent. And as we build that team out, I could see the traction and the speed and the momentum of everything we're doing going faster and faster and faster. I could see it. The light's at the end of the tunnel, guys. So I would say that's currently what we're doing now. And amidst all that, we are, continue to work on all this cool stuff. InvestYGator talked earlier. He's an awesome guy. I like how he's able to just, in the face of no matter what's happening, it seems like everyone could be screaming, tearing out their head, the place is on fire, and there's InvestYGator just nice and calm and taking it all in and evaluating, analyzing, say, well, okay, let's do this next, and then carry on. So he's great. Doogie's been awesome and instrumental, critical in trying to bring all the organization to the company, which is extremely critical. I think people undervalue how critical that is in a company that's growing this fast. So everyone's doing their part, and I think being on the creative side, I feel a little lucky. I feel honored that I get to spend most of my day doing just cool stuff. So that's where we're at right now.
So what out of all the different projects, what is there something that you guys are pulling your hair over trying to get done? Like what's the number one priority for the creative department right now?
I would say right now, a really big thing is the rank rewards. We're really pushing hard. I know that Matt would love to see this pushed out by the end of this month. That's like, what are we talking? A couple weeks? And that's pushing it. So basically, in order to make all these things happen, what we do is, from a product design level, not I don't want to bore anybody, but typically what happens is we look at each feature and each update that we want to bring to the game, and we're like, okay, how do we do this as quickly as possible? How do we get this in the players' hands as fast as we can, given the resources and time and everything that we have going on? And typically what happens is we have to balance between, okay, what's a technical MVP versus what is a UX MVP, because they're two totally separate things. If we just want to add a feature by just pushing everything out of the way and sticking a button on the screen or something, then okay, that would be a technical MVP. But if we want to launch with something that actually feels at least semi-intuitive, where people could look at it like, okay, what does that button do? Oh, I get it. Then that would be a UX MVP. And so we have that balancing act. We're trying to work that out right now. But typically what I talked about, Matt, actually this previous week about was like, okay, well, it's okay to launch with MVPs, but ultimately we want to know where the promised land is. We want to know, how should this product or update look when the dust finally settles and we're finished with what it is that we need to do, because I don't want to just launch with MVP and call it done and move on. I want to make sure that no one calls it done, and that we continue to strive for the maximum production quality. I want us to be able to compete with the big boys at that level, and not just say, well, we're a blockchain game. People like complication. They like figuring stuff out. Well, I don't know about that. From a UX perspective, I can't buy into that.
Determine your own rewards. You can figure this out. Go back and calculate it. You'll get it eventually.
Yeah. And I think that most of the blockchain dApps operate with that mindset. Is like, well, people in the blockchain space, they like the exclusivity of like, okay, only we can figure this out. All those normies out there, we're going to be ahead of the game because they can't figure it out. So this horrible UX is a good thing, right? So, but I think we're a game. We're meant to be accessible to the public, and and we want it to be accessible to the public. I don't want to put up these, these walls, these feelings of overwhelming anxiety and frustration, just so that our first adopters could get a little bit further ahead. I don't think that's what we're about. So, yes, we do want to add value to everyone's investment. We want to add value to those who've come before, but we don't want to like alienate, the rest of the world. So, yeah, that's what big time we're working on ranked rewards. I think that, just understand, guys, we're going to push out MVP. We're going to call it phase 1, and we're going to continue what we've done in the past, where we do phase 1, but immediately after that, we'd like to iterate and pump out phase 2 and phase 3 and continue working on those products until they're exactly where they should be. Now, big apologies. I know that that happened with Brawls, phase 1, and then we kind of did move on, and we're trying to fix that mistake, as WeirdBeard pointed out earlier. I know WeirdBeard's pretty excited about all the possibilities and the potential, not just with tournaments, but all the different things with Brawls, because there's a little bit of overlap in the overall mentality of how those systems operate. And I am completely on board with that. I think that, I think that guilds will finally, hopefully very soon, get the love that they've been waiting for. They're like, wait a minute, you left us with Brawls. It's cool. It keeps us active. But, we feel like a hamster in a wheel here. Where are we going with this? And it's like, okay, we're coming, guys. We're coming. We'll get there.
In our defense, getting a little bit of time to go experience that before you like start mucking about. It's good to get feedback time. Maybe we're like a little bit longer than we ought to be, but I'm going to stand behind that kind of decision of like, put it out. If there's no exploits, let it run for honestly a couple months and then come back with all that feedback and then make it better. If there's some like really obvious feedback right away, okay, then that should be sort of an immediate implementation thing. But generally, before we start like changing the vision and changing the plan and really going back on anything that we said, we ought to give it a couple months and make sure that like the stakeholders have really settled on where they want this thing to be.
Well, I mean, to jump in, that's even like I'm arguing with people on YouTube chat right now, because what really ends up
like
happening,
literally right now.
Yeah, no, it's fine. But it's because people see an issue and then they go, it's been 2 days. Why has this not been fixed? And it's like, okay, listen, there's a lot of kind of steps that happen here. Like all the changes that we've done to tournaments, even in the past 2 months, right, have been nutty overall. When you really zoom out and look at it and go, oh, look, we've added all these new things. We've added these new style of tournaments. We're doing these types of things. And then you see these like edge cases start to pop up over time. But because they're edge cases, they take much longer to like show up and to be able to figure out what is causing this and what do we do here. And so like making a bunch of really like complicated pivots quickly back to back will leave you so you don't even know which way is up. So like you have to let things run, even if they're not perfect, with imperfections while it happens, right? Because then you're able to catalog and see, is this a problem that's affecting 40% of the player base, or is this a problem that's affecting 3 people? And you know what I mean? And it's like, it's an egregious error, but like it's only affecting 3 people comparative to 40% of everybody that plays the game. So it's, it's about economy of scale. Like I listened to a really good talk from one of the product designers for YouTube, and they go, listen, even if a problem affects 0.5% of our audience, that's still 25 million people that are affected by this. But that's still 0.5% of a problem comparative to something that like is affecting 40% of the entire audience. So it's a lot of these things take time and have to run a course, and it's like growing pains. And unfortunately, you wish that you could just get out the door and have it be perfect from the very first time. But like that's a fantasy land to live in.
And not only that, but like I'm probably the biggest guilty party of this. But when you're like trying to go through and you're like, Nate, just fix ranked rewards. And you're like, okay, well, what the hell does that even mean? Like ranked rewards, here's your table, here's your chart. Do we still use the same chart? Are the rewards the same? If they're not the same, how are we changing it? How many different places do we display this? How many different places do we track this? Like you go through that code base, and that code base is something like War and Peace times 2 now. You have to go through and find on the back end all the places where that code exists. You have to go and find on the front end all the places that code exists. You have to like redesign the pathway. You're gonna like we're changing the way that some of these chests work and the rewards work. So you have to communicate that. Like we're trying to go after like more frequent play, and so we have to go like socialize that too. And there's just and like what is the best? Like what works, what doesn't work? I mean, honestly, there's not that many people in this ecosystem that understand that. I mean, that's part of why who started us off by talking about games that come and go? Who was that? That like maybe that was Gavin or something. Gavin starts with like, look at this Binance Smart Chain game. Oh, it's already gone, by the way, but that's what got us started. We've been here 4 freaking years, and we keep this economy going, and we keep like how this system works, manageable and working and functional. But that's not easy. I mean, the players take it for granted here. Of course, they'll just keep being here next year. Like, look at almost every other project that's like play to earn in this space. I can think of like 3 that have any longevity. The rest of them are sort of like, what is it? K populations in biology. They're like bunnies where like suddenly there's a boom, maybe the wolves all die. The bunnies populate like crazy. They eat everything and then they all die. And so I think that's a K population curve, but like, go look at how we're doing. We're like one of these long-term surviving species, not one of the like, hot flashes in the pan. Give us a little break here, people, because it's pretty hard to do. And I think we're one of the ones that do it.
Yeah, and I mean, also the other thing too is that these things are they're long burn. Like the changes for tournaments seem to have come quickly, but that was still after we took how many week pause? Like 2-3 weeks of just like 0 tournaments where all we did was feedback, and like that was the only reason we were able to get changes like that out. Like I'm not for tournaments and guilds, especially in brawls. It's not like WeirdBeard just sitting up in the middle of the night and being like, you know what I think we're going to do? This is what we're going to do. A lot of this takes like talking to lots of different people and getting lots of parties to all communicate. Like that's a soup that you have to be able to sift through and understand. Like, are these people complaining because they want an actual change? Is it a change that can even be made? Is it good for the overall economy? Is it a change that affects other people that are then going to want that change reverted? Like these things have like lots of competing parties and interests all at the same time. So again, I wish we could just wave a magic wand and be like, there, it's fixed. Have a good day. All done. We can go home and everybody party for a little bit. But it's way more like lots of long periods of sitting around and making sure that we get everybody's input so that it's not like, oh, you're not listening about the new player experience, or, oh, you're ignoring whales for all new players, or, oh, you're not talking to non-Splinterlands players. Like there's so many people that want a part of the pie for like, what their vision of the game is, that like this is a lot of just kind of ordering, what's important, what's not.
Okay. Nate, I think we're at the point of the show where you get to show us some eye candy of what we're working on. Maybe there's some more, especially if you have anything for rank rewards that's been done. I think we'd like to see that. If there's any kind of put together pieces of land or non-card market, or any of the project stuff that's pretty like short-term radar kind of stuff. Let's see some goodies.
All right. Yeah, for sure. Let's see. So rank rewards, that's a big thing. I think of equal importance right now is probably validator nodes as well. And I'm not going to get into validator nodes this week. Maybe next week. I have to share whatever.
There should be some stuff out into the wild about validator nodes. Hopefully before the end of the week. I don't want to say exactly when, but that stuff is coming. So you can chat a little bit about it, but I think next week's show is going to be pretty heavily focused on validator stuff. But
Awesome.
Because it's imminent, whatever you want to talk about to sort of like get that out there, let's do it.
Oh yeah, I mean, I just as far as priorities for creative, I would say the 2 big things that we're really, really focused on. I mean, we're all over the place. We're doing all kinds of cool stuff. In fact, before I go any further, I should probably at the very least share what I normally do, which is the lore. So the last lore is right here. I think Agrod, if you haven't checked it out, Agrodius, the council wizard plays indirect part in that whole story. They're all looking for you. It should be interesting to see how we turn you from a Gandalf looking guy into a big orc. So I guess we'll see how that progresses.
Yeah, my business card and my in-game character don't need to be the same. Like plausible deniability.
All right, no, sounds good. But yeah, that's an example of all the things that creative continues to work on in parallel with everything else. But yeah, the big thing is rank rewards is a big deal, and so is validator nodes. For rank rewards, we're trying our best to creative needs more time. So as we release phase 1 of what's happening, you may not see some of the stuff that I'm sharing that I might share right now. This is stuff like maybe we'll get it in there. But phase 1 is really intended to be really bare bones, like minimal changes to the existing front end that you are accustomed to seeing now. And then as soon as all the assets and animation and graphics and everything are ready, then you'll see phase 2 and you'll be like, whoa, this is nice. So, but for those of you who want a sneak peek, I'll give you a sneak peek of one little tweak we wanted to make when we were working on not just rank rewards, but the follow-up to that, which is the modern wild, is like let's revisit the badges, the heraldry that indicates whether you're in gold 1 or gold 2 and those kind of things. And then we want to make one set for modern and another set for wild. And if I can, I might squeeze in some of these graphics for rank rewards, but I think it's cool. I think you guys will dig it compared to what we have right now. So this right here is kind of a sneak peek at these are the modern badges, if you will, and those are going to indicate, as you can tell, you see tier 1, 2, and 3 for bronze, silver, gold, all the way up to champion. And how they're going to progress and look for modern. Wild when we're done with them, the intention is that Wild will feel like they're just bursting like with powerful energy, barely controllable magic. So that'll be cool. And we plan on getting those animated. And when you transition to another tier, you see the cool effects and the glows and the sparkles and happen and all that stuff. So speaking of animation, here, animations are cool to look at. So here's an attack animation, different than the normal idle animations where they're just kind of breathing and looking cool. This is a fire that the goblin in the tank. If you guys are familiar with that character, this is him firing his weapon. There we go. I thought it was cool. It was a cool animation. I like to see him kind of poking out from behind and like seeing if he hit it or not, or saying, I'm going to get you. And he comes with a cannon and fires it. And speaking of the animations, I just found out something today, which is pretty cool. So Axler Twinblade asked me for some asset support or whatever. And I'm like, what the heck? I think I called him Mr. Crazy Person. Why are you asking me this? And his response was like, well, look, I'm working on this thing, and I guess he's working on the website baronstoolbox.com. If you guys haven't checked out baronstoolbox.com, I guess it's only fair that I put a link. It's a third-party site where they're trying to just kind of support Splinterlands community and players with cool tools and stuff. But he showed me a preview of he's taking all these GIFs that I've been sharing in the town halls, and I guess, unbeknownst to me, he's been collecting them, and he's now been utilizing them, beta testing it to show all of the cards with these moving characters. And he showed me a video of that happening, and I'm like, that looks so cool. I mean, I know in my head that this is the plan, that eventually we were going to end up where we had this animation and the characters and stuff like that, but to actually see it on his test site or whatever, they look pretty freaking cool, having those characters move in the cards. So just hats off to him. Keep up the good work. Speaking of, I don't know if this will fit. This is kind of a bigger file size, so I'll see. But if you guys remember the published story a few weeks back, where it was a group of nomads traveling through the lands of, I think, Pretoria, and a shaman stopped to kind of get this vision or whatever. We used her art to kind of like play with the animation stuff, and I think the animators did a great job. I mean, Let me see if this, yeah, it's going to upload. Awesome. So this is her just kind of hanging out with her bird, but I like the glow of the staff and the way the bird kind of ruffles its wings. And I think it's just kind of like, you know, a taste of what's to come, what we could do with the game to make it kind of breathe new life into it. And then finally, what I'll leave you guys with is we're working on the reward cards. So for those of you guys who are not familiar or just hearing this for the first time, we keep talking about ranked rewards, and some of you who, you know, you haven't been on the previous town halls, you're like, what the heck are you talking about? So ranked rewards is basically where we're trying to adjust how rewards work in the game. So right now you finish a quest, you know, win 5 battles with death or earth or water, and you you finish those, and then you're like, you walk away from the computer. You're like, oh, I'm done for the day. Goodbye. We're going to take quests out. Get rid of quests. We're going to use quests for something else down the road. We'll use the word quest for something more fun and adventurous. But we're going to replace the word quest with the word focus. You're now going to have a daily focus. And the reason it's being termed that way is because now it's never ending. We never want you to leave your computer. Stop, you know, never stop playing the game. Just live on the game, because now you're just going to win your chest, and then you'll be like, oh, wait, I could win another one? Okay. And you're going to keep playing and playing, and then you're going to win that other chest, and you're going to think, I'm going to walk away. Oh, whoa, I could win another chest. Okay. And you're going to keep going, and you're going to have, that's not only applicable just for the daily focus, but I believe we're going to apply that towards the season as well. So maybe instead of just kind of achieving your particular league and saying, oh, I'm getting 30 chests done, you know, that I'm just going to kind of sit here at this at gold level. I'm not going to progress anymore. I got my chest. I'm going to say goodbye. No, you're not goodbye. You're gonna as you progress through the season, you could ultimately potentially win more chests than you would have the old way. So it's like more win for everybody, and we're incentivizing people to just keep playing. And I think it's going to be awesome. I mean, I'm pretty excited about those things. But in conjunction with that launch, we're going to, with a new update to the game, we're going to introduce a nice handful, maybe like around 10 to 12 new ranked, new reward cards into the game. And that's just to get people even more excited about winning these chests, because now you'll have access to characters that you never had access to before because of these new reward cards. So we are still in the works of trying to figure out, okay, which of these characters are we using for ranked rewards, and which of these characters are going to be used for Rift Watchers. So I'll share with you a character that actually didn't quite make it into Chaos Legion. And so I'm imagining that this character may now end up either as a reward card when we introduce ranked rewards, or it'll end up as a Rift Watcher. So I'm not even sure yet. But hey, it's cool to look at, and I look forward to seeing it in the game. And this is a infiltrator.
Death Infiltrator. While you're putting that in, the chat has been going wild with the infinite amount that you could play comment. We just want to InvestYGator really put this well into context when he said it's going to be balanced with ECR. It will give more incentive for human players to play more than the 5 and done per day. The scaling should be similar to DEC farming. So we're not like abandoning every lesson we've learned about bots this whole time, but we're also trying to make it's the goal is to get people to play and not just come in, do their 5 games or 5 wins and go. So we don't want them here all day, because that's nonsensical, but we also don't just want them to play a little and dip out. So
for sure,
balance
it will be
5, but with ECR.
Yeah, there'll be diminishing returns, in other words. So each chest will be harder to get than the one previous, to the point to where it's like eventually you may at 11 o'clock at night, you woke up at 7 a.m., you didn't stop playing, and you're thinking, can I get one more chest? And you'll be like, well, crap, it's going to take me way longer to get that final chest than all the other chests previously. And so you kind of have to like decide how you want to handle that. But yeah, between the energy capture rate, which I'm really lobbying to change that to just earn rate. But we'll see what happens when the final UI gets put out. I think earn rate will be a lot more straightforward in understanding what it's for and what it does, and then yes, the diminishing returns that's going to occur with each chest. And I think we intend to even launch with a little button you push that will allow you to look at the screen and say, oh, okay, this is how many like focus points I'm going to need to get to this chest, but I'm going to need like twice as many focus points to get to this other chest. So we're hoping to try to make that as clear as possible, even though it's just an MVP launch.
Alrighty, that character looks sick. Like I'd even say sick AF, if you know what I mean. She looks pretty badass. I don't know, excited for where the art's going, excited for the characters, excited for the animation. I think the team is doing it. So kudos on that. Looking forward. Do you have images of the different chests that people will be able to earn? Are those are looking different now, or are they all the same?
So we have created and designed a whole bunch of different chests, and it's like I haven't really talked to anyone outside of creative about just how ambitious we want to be with these chests.
Put them out, Alpha.
Well,
Nate,
no,
do it, Nate, do it.
I don't have any chests handy right now. I wasn't prepared to share the chest, but I'm guessing. Okay, tell you what. Next week I will come prepared with these chests. That you just keep in mind, guys, that I don't know when we're going to add these chests to the game, because right now I imagine Matt's thinking like, well, we'll just use the same graphics we already have. We use that chest, right? And I'm thinking to myself, well, no, we can have all kinds of chests. In fact, we can have the chest change based on the focus. So you see water chests, and then you see, bronze water chests. And then you say, oh, if you get the sneak focus, then the chest looks like it's made by ninjas. And then, I have all these things I want to do, right? And it's actually a lot of the assets are ready to go, and I'll share with those next week. But I want chests that look like they're unlocked, chests that look open, start animating the chest, do all kinds of crazy stuff. So we're getting there.
Awesome. All right, I need to get moved on to some of the questions. So Reality, if you could pop that out there for the folks. There's only one page of questions. That's why I let the chat kind of extend a little bit, or I guess it's a page and a half now. I guess we've been getting some extras added on. So I'm going to try to plow through these. We'll let the team chime in where necessary. Oh, crap. I forgot that we still have Alonso. Why don't we do that next? Alonso, do you want to, Alonso, why don't you come on? Sorry about this. I forgot that you were part of the show today. And can you kind of like talk us through who you are, what you do, and I'm sorry that I botched this a little bit, but welcome to the team, and why don't you talk about what it is that you're up to?
Hello. Thanks. No problem. 37 here, or Alonso. My username is Nico Bunker. I'm really glad to be here, be part of this town hall, and have the opportunity to introduce myself to the community as a player, as support team member. I used to be one of those guys behind the support team, senior support, solving and escalating tickets to the right place. Right now, we split the team into different departments to specialize our agents on different duties. I'm working in the development branch of support. Our main goal is to improve our processes to provide better support for everyone. In order to get that, we are working on internal tools to dig better into the blockchain and give us more accurate info really quick. Personally, I'm working in a support manual to share all the info that the whole team has been gathering during the last year, so we can get all our agents in the same page. I don't know. I think that's all.
Now, first off, you sound a little bit. You got a little bit of an accent. Are you from Oklahoma? Where are you from?
No, I am from Venezuela.
Oh, Venezuela. And then, how did you find Splinterlands? Like, how did you get connected to us, and how'd you ever learn anything about the game?
Oh well, I was looking in Google about games in the blockchain. Before start playing Splinterlands, I was playing Hearthstone. The main thing that brought my attention on Splinterlands is the that fact that you can own your own assets. So that's something that you don't have access in Splinter and Hearthstone. You have a lot of dust. Here I have cards, I have DC, I have SPS, a lot of things that I really am glad of that.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad that you've been able to find us. What's like the best part of your gig? Like, what part of this do you really enjoy?
Well, I'm enjoying the whole game, but right now the rolling is a really nice feature. Uh, it brings the tournament into a team tournament. The team tournament is a really nice thing.
And then for if I always like to, we have a lot of people that are kind of behind the scenes, right? Like if you're not like the lead developer pushing forward the next feature update, you're kind of behind the scenes. So if a player here were to somehow experience what you've done for them or for this company, like how would they experience the work that you put in?
Well, during this time, I learned a lot about the blockchain, about Hive. When I started, I didn't know anything about the blockchain. So Splinterlands has been a little a great experience to learn things like Python. I didn't know anything about Python, but I learned a lot in Splinterlands. High blockchain, like things like that.
But how would the player experience your work? Right? Like you're in support. So what kind of, if a player has a question, what ends up on your plate? Are you directly helping players? Are you interfacing between players and devs? Like where does your particular work come into the company?
Got it. Okay. Uh, Knowing the game as player as support team member give me a little of experience in both phase of the game. You can know things as player and things as member. So as player, you know that when you receive a ticket or you receive a person, you will find a issue that you probably will have tomorrow, or I don't know. So you have a little of empathy with the customer or with the person behind the ticket or within the ticket right now.
All right. So you're handling tickets personally?
Right now, I'm not. I am building a manual, but I used to be taking a lot of tickets. I don't know how many, but maybe 200 or 300 per month. I don't know.
Yeah, that sounds perfect. So getting somebody with your experience to sort of help other people that are in support figure out how to answer questions and how to respond, I think sounds great. Alonso,
Yeah.
I'm sorry that it took me a second or I had to be yelled at by Ron to remember that we have another guest on air. I'm glad that you're here. Thank you for working on that manual. Thank you for helping to answer support tickets. We're glad you're here, and thanks for being part of our community.
Oh, thank you for the opportunity to be here.
Awesome. All right. So now, Beth, why don't you put out that little the mention again, and we'll do this a second time. So I'm going to go start answering questions. I have a little bit less time than I meant to. We have 2 pages here. So if you're one of the guests on the show and you're called to answer one of these questions, let's try to be brief. So I want to try to get this done in 15 minutes and leave 15 minutes left for questions, which is a little tough to do with 2 pages of questions, but we're going to try to plow through it. SPS validator nodes is the first section. Is there any clear information or someone that can help me wrap my head around the SPS validator nodes and what is required to run one? What caliber of computer would I need to have? Is a server level rig I would need to have to support being a full-time validator? Yeah, we would suggest getting I think it's going to end up being a VPS. This is the kind of stuff that if you're a Hivian, you might say Privix would provide it. But you should be able to get Amazon servers, or you should be able to get Hertzler servers. But you're going to need some kind of VPS or even just like a physical rig somewhere. I don't think that these things are going to be terribly big on like when you start them. My guess is that it's like an 8 gigabyte server, but we'll see. The full thing will come out, and over time it'll get bigger and bigger. Are the validators voted into those validation positions similar to the witnesses of Hive? Yeah, so we're a little bit different than Hive because Hive has some cool parts where you're like, okay, here are the 20 most active and most involved people, and we want to make sure that they're here, they're the ones updating things, and they're the ones that are active when at the time that we need active validators. So there's a reason to make sure that you have that like delegated proof of stake system and the voting and the top validators or the top witnesses or block producers. But that gets a little bit, it also disincentivizes everybody else from participating, right? Because if you're not one of the top 20 block producers, maybe if you're in the top 30, there's a lot of incentive to run one. But then after that, it kind of dies off. And so you don't see Hive having thousands of nodes. We're lucky if we have like 100 or maybe 200. So yeah, it's decentralized, but certainly there are other projects that are more decentralized, and it's because there's sort of like the diminishing incentive returns for running these witnesses. So what we've done is we built in kind of two different types. One is where you can be a witness, and part of the witness rewards go to that. And then part of it is just like buying a license. And if you run it, then you can get rewards for that. And the bulk of the rewards go to anybody with a license. And the minimus amount of rewards go to the validators, or like the elected validators. And I think those guys will still make quite a bit of cash for the mining or the earning that they're doing. But it's not the lion's share by any means. And I'm hoping that it looks like kind of a hybrid between the Bitcoin model where anybody can just throw up an ASIC device and start mining, and the Hive model where just the top 20 get rewarded and the stakeholders vote on them. I think we're getting the best of both worlds, but there's not a lot of projects that run it this way. So it's a bit of an experiment, but this is where Matt and I landed. Mostly Matt, and I said, yeah, this is good. And I tweaked his math a little bit, and I think the two of us get there pretty good. Modern versus wild. Will the amount of loot chests awarded per league in wild format be the same in the modern format? I believe the answer to that is yes. Is there anybody to conflict with that? Hearing none. Cards. Was there somebody that was about to answer? I heard a.
Well, with the ranked reward revamp, it's just going to be whatever it doesn't matter which league you're playing in, you're just going to earn points towards your rewards.
Yeah, they won't. Yeah, I guess it's fair. So we are not differentiating between wild and modern, but you might differentiate as a player. And so your rewards might be a little bit different, but we're not trying to like change the incentivization on the back end. And hopefully that'll be more clear when like the system is out.
Yeah, my impression, and I could be wrong. I could be totally wrong because there's a lot involved with this, so many layers to it. But my understanding was that the rewards will be split between these two formats, but because fewer people would be able to be competitive in wild, that there'll be fewer people sharing the bucket of rewards available in wild, and therefore the potential to earn more in wild would be there, right? That would be the incentive to play in wild rather than play it safe in modern. But
yes, but that's also not set up by us, right? Like we're basically giving equal incentive, and then based off of what the players have and what they want to do, they can make their decisions. So it's a little bit of it's a funky system where the people that are staking and earning and playing are deciding as a group like what the level of rewards are going to be. kind of funky. We set the number, but they set how much actually goes out per player based off of their involvement. Cards, could you please provide us some tentative stats on the new summoners? Any thoughts on the new summoners? Where are we on those, Nate?
No, we made a lot of progress in the meantime. I'm feeling good about that progress, but in regards to stats and abilities, we're not ready to share anything there yet. But you know, in the next town hall or the one after that, well, I don't know. I think I might wait until, you know, we're further along. That progress bar has moved closer to how many packs have sold before I start, you know, leaking what the legendary summoners look like. But we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, if we know, we should get it out sooner rather than later. But you know, I know that's not, it's a priority, but it's not the top because we want to get these rank rewards out. But hopefully that's coming soon. What will the changes to the starter set be implemented? I think they mean when. Is the starter set deduction of rewards, is that going live in this next update, or is that later for rank rewards?
I think that's ranked rewards. That's supposed to happen at the same time as ranked rewards, I think.
I don't know. Oh, Investigator, do you happen to know?
Yeah, it's going to go with ranked rewards.
Okay. So, you know, end of this month, early next. Land, how many item spell cards are being planned, and can we get some eye candy for them?
Okay. As creative director, I mean, I want like a bazillion. Like,
Yeah.
I want so many spells and so many items.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. But you know, we got to make sense of this. So I will say this, that we intend to hopefully have as many as possible. If it equates to, like, you know, about the size of a current core set. So we had 100 cards, you know, we had over 100 cards in Chaos Legion. So ideally we would launch crafting, you know, with a similar number of cards. Maybe half of those would be items and half of those would be spells. Or I don't know, if things work out really well, because we got the creative resources now to possibly do 100 of each or something. But I don't know. It's TBD. What we do for launch. There's a lot that hasn't been finalized. But I will say that I want to make sure that it's not like 3 or 4. It's like you'll have variety. You'll have lots of different strategic choices when we introduce phase 2 of gameplay.
We have the player acquisition and marketing. Do we have any solid plans on how Splinterlands will grow the player base? And has there been any progress with YouTube, Facebook advertisement, and content creator sponsored video? We talked about YouTube and Facebook and advertisements earlier, that, you know, we're progressing on it, but it's still a pain in the butt. But they're now at the point of like helping us manually. And then content creator sponsored videos. I don't know, any updates that you want to provide, Liam, about, I guess, maybe the streaming video content that's going out? Any kind of quick updates about the Splinterlands TV?
Yeah, I think Ron can give a better update than I can. But as far as everything goes right now, I think we have almost 40 different streamers on the Stream TV platform. That's running 7 days a week right now, and we're looking to onboard even more. End goal is pretty much to have a 24/7 stream team going live right now. Like, we'll have little blocks blocked off when we have town halls and everything else, but otherwise, I'd like to have it pretty much going 24/7. And then as far as the other questions in terms of what we're doing to get new players, like, it's just going to be a constant ongoing build for us. As we mentioned, like, there's ads, there's affiliates, there's in-person events. Like, shout out to Level Up Life and Mango Mayhem, who are running a new event in the Philippines in the coming week here, I think April 19th. But yeah, I mean, it's just going to be an ongoing effort from our side, just continuing to build that flywheel.
And the other thing too is building these tournaments, because we have to have something to promote. It's like it's very hard to get people to understand. You can't just promote, hey, there's a thing that exists. Like, you need to have a specific call to action to be like, hello, Splinterlands not only exists, but here's a tournament or an event or a thing that's happening or a new card pack that's dropping. Like, you need to have a specific thing that we're going out and advertising. So that's what we're trying to have, so that it's not just, you know, screaming into the void.
Yeah, and there's some announcements that are coming out. I'd love to talk about them more, but you know, I think some of what we plan for the validators will have lasting impact for how the community works. There should be an update in the next day or two. and we'll talk about it more on the next town hall. But I think it should have a pretty big impact, and we'll see, next Wednesday after we've had a couple days of what does it actually do for us as a community. Updates. When will the update that was pulled back on the 5th of April be reintroduced? And you said it was the 19th. Is that what it was, or the 20th? 19th.
19th. We're gonna roll that back up.
Yeah, 6 days or so. So that's pretty soon. Hiring. What efforts is Splinterlands doing to hire more developers? InvestYGator, do you know how many developers we have total now?
I think we're pretty close to 20. I can talk a little bit about this. At this point, it's not necessarily us needing to hire more developers. It's trying to onboard the ones we've hired. I've had people on my team that started, full-time Monday or Tuesday this week and Monday last week. So, people we've hired in previous weeks or months ago had to finish out their 2 to 4 weeks at their day jobs. So we're still actually bringing in people that have been hired. Probably going forward, a lot of the hiring is going to be on, I think, some of the other projects outside of Splinterlands, because we've got a pretty decent sized team of developers at this point.
I agree with that. Matt and I have been really keen on, anything that we want to do outside of Splinterlands can't raid from Splinterlands. And so Splinterlands is the priority. That's what we're building. We have 4 separate teams running now, which, in June 16th, we have more people on like a team than we had people as of last June. So just to give you a sense of that. And like, even if I had another 100 developers isn't actually enough. Like that, the developer themselves, you need like an entire team around them, because you have to go define the problem, figure out what the solution is, how you want to actually build it, what it's going to look like. I don't just need another 20 developers on staff wouldn't actually help me very much. What I would need is like, whole other sets of product teams. And right now, we're moving pretty quick on the different things that we want. I think we're going to see like a pretty crazy Q3 and Q4, just in terms of how much crap we like throw out there for like, here's this update, here's that update, this is how this is changing. And you guys are going to be like, what the hell? This is all happening too fast now. So I don't know. Getting just another 20 developers or doubling the developer team isn't actually going to be that helpful. What is helpful is, after we get a couple of these separate product teams up and running for things that aren't Splinterlands, trying to figure out, okay, what's our pace of development for Splinterlands? Is it enough? Do we need more? And where do we go with this? But at the moment, I think it's more like spinning up what we have as opposed to like just doubling down. But if I'm wrong and the developers come back and tell me, no, we need more people, I'll go get more people. I'm not against it. From what I'm hearing from the team, we kind of have enough devs for now. And unless we're going to start spinning up more product teams, I don't think that we need it. But we'll see. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and we'll go from there. Lore, can we get a chronological ordering to the lore? Mixing today's lore with that from Pre-Chaos Legion is hard to digest.
Well, lucky for you, our narrative lead, Joey, is on the job. So I believe he's neck deep in creating not only a wiki to give easy reference for anything lore related, but also it is our intention to eventually, at some point, produce or publish or make available a kind of like a version 2 of that old encyclopedia that we had with the Kickstarter or whatever. So keep an eye out for news about that. But yeah, we're aware of that, and we are working hard to try to make that a reality.
All right, bots. Can you confirm that there are different rules for players that use the app and website compared to coders' bots? The one example that was mentioned lately was timeouts for surrenders. Can you make sure going forward that there's never different rules, no matter how you communicate with the game? Generally, I think we try to punish bots so that if they're not, if they're doing things that a player wouldn't do, we penalize them. I think that's the case. I don't know if InvestYGator, you have any thoughts that are different than that, but do you see areas where like the bots have advantages over humans?
Honestly, in terms of submitting matches, bots probably have harsher rules, because with the UI, we enforce that you have to put up legal teams. We only let you pick cards that you can actually submit in a rule set. And Like if a bot submits an illegal team, they basically just get an auto loss. So I actually do think we're a little harsher on bot teams.
All right, I got to keep going. Suggestions, requests. So we have a website called feedback.splinterlands.com. Maybe somebody can put in that link. Would it look better if guild's icon was swapped with the events icon? I think the event icon is more suitable for the guilds. So Nate, I don't know. Consider all the nav bar.
When you make a guild, one of the first things you do is create your heraldry, which is basically looks like that banner. And what appears under your name when you say what your guild is. So it'd be kind of, and then events happen in arena, right? So I don't know. I mean, we're open to all kinds of ideas and suggestions, but yeah, that's where our mind was at when we did that.
Would you slowly change the peg value of DEC to increase over a long period of time? No, our goal is to make 0.001 DEC equal to $1, or 1,000 DEC to equal $1. And over time, I don't see us moving that forward. If you want to see increased value, the place that's more likely for that is the SBS token, because that's the one that's meant to more fluctuate over time. And but I don't think that you're going to see that with DEC to the same extent. We want it so that when you're on the market and you make a trade, you can count on the value in DEC not changing between today and tomorrow, so that you would look, you might get the same dollar value but less tokens, or less tokens but the same dollar value. We want the dollar value and the tokens to be constant so that you guys can have reasonable market conditions. Since the community is divided on bots still, why not also include a league where players can only use cards that they own, not rent or delegate? This is on the top of the reward revamp structure that rewards people for using cards they own. We really like the rental and delegating. I don't see that being, I don't want to penalize people for renting or delegating. I think it's great. If there's tons of players that really want that, then maybe that's something that we'd look into, but high level, that's not something that I want to penalize. I want to grow that. I think like making it easy for people to go earn money by renting, I think is great for this game and this ecosystem. Can you guys please increase the Chaos Legion pack drop rate a bit to make the rewards better and help make Chaos Legion packs sell out a bit faster? I don't know. That's a rewards change that might make it in, might not. I don't know what the guys are thinking there. I don't think it's top of mind, but remember, every time that you give out more, it makes the underlying asset potentially worth less. So I don't want to, that sounds to me like something that doesn't make as much sense. But if enough players are clamoring for it and the devs agree, then maybe that's something we do, but that's not high on my priority list. With so many important features of the game still to build, would the team be willing to discuss the idea of putting off Rift Watchers on hold and definitely Rebellion? Well, Rebellion won't come out until there's different levels of this. Rift Watchers is in a creative design stage. So we need to get all the cards ready, and Rebellion, the same thing. We got to get the cards ready, but it's not like taking development team resources right now. So it's early enough in the process where it's meant to be months down the road. And I think that's just some of how I think that you're thinking, hey, if they're working on Rift Watchers, they won't work on these other things. All this stuff is getting done in parallel. So it doesn't actually help us to stop Rift Watchers. It just means that some of our artists aren't busy, which is not good. Can you please clearly state on the town hall that the next main set won't be released before Chaos Legion? I don't think, we won't release Rebellion before Chaos Legion is sold out. We will release Rift Watchers before it's sold out. But again, that's a specialty pack. It's not pack sales directly to the business. It goes to the community and the DAO. It's like a sync for SPS. It kind of has a different purpose. But Rebellion won't come out before Chaos Legion is sold out. Lots of people asking about it almost daily. It would be nice to be able to refer them to an official statement. You can take that as an official statement. As stated in the current roadmap, the full land release will still take a while. After the current SBS airdrop ends, there will be no direct value for land until the functionality is implemented. Would you consider starting the land expansion reward pool as stated in the white paper after the current airdrop ends so that there's an incentive to hold or buy land? I don't know. I'll talk to Matt about it, but I think we want that to be like, when you actually know what card you have, there's a market set up for the different cards, and it's not just the sort of fungible reward tokens, but the actual usable in-game NFTs. I think we'll all feel better if it's that way rather than, the fungibles that are getting rewarded. But I'm not going to die on that hill. We'll see what that looks like. And then we got 2 cheers here. Yeah, it's no doubt the Splinterlands team is killing it, actually creating working content, valuable experience, and extremely ambitious goals. Thanks, guys. Great show, everyone. Thanks for all you do and leading the way. Yeah, working on it, folks. We're doing our best, growing this team and trying to crank out some sweet content. Okay, so unfortunately, we're at 10 minutes left. So, Beth, why don't we open up questions? Just give me 10 to 20 questions or something, and then let's close it off. But let's let the first guys kind of spam them in here. Okay, what are the plans to address the 250 to 1 million forfeits and one monster submissions that are happening per season with the big bot networks with regard to protecting the spirit of the game rewards pool and user experience? You have some ideas. Both accounts get a quick forfeit, cannot enter a battle, 3 forfeits allowed per season per account, 1 monster submissions, and over X battles. Do you have thoughts on that, InvestYGator? Do you want to, or Nate, do you guys want to chime in on that?
Yeah, I can talk about that a little bit. So we still have not actually gotten out our changes to hide opponent names, which is our initial step to try to help address potential win trading within the same bot network. We do have other things that are in progress or that need some work to help ensure that the gameplay is fair, which is something that we want to do, make sure that bots don't have an outside advantage. We haven't got it, once we get hide opponents out, we're going to collect data based on that and see if we need to take further changes. And we're going to do our best to make sure that the game is fair. People don't, people running large botnets don't have an unfair advantage.
All right. Are there other questions in here? Can we store packs, SPS, etc. in cold wallets? How do you treat cold wallets with Hive? What do you guys? What's a more technical answer than what I'd give? You just slap it into a wallet that you don't use. I mean, cold wallets on Hive are slightly different than they are in other places, but you can put stuff into wallets that you don't commonly use and that you basically keep offline. So make an account, move it over to there, and hide the account keys, and you essentially have a cold wallet. When you burn packs if they don't sell out, I don't think so, because we want to make part of allowing higher prices and longer terms and waiting. We want these things to be available for a year. A lot of packs, we want to make sure that new people can enter the game. So, it's not always about a quick buck or the fastest burn ever. We want people to be coming in and playing. So we're not just going to burn packs for that. Simply Mike is thanking me for something. People are asking, baby yet? No, baby. It's extremely tiring. Are team members allowed to use bot farms? How many of them have bot farms, Nate? I don't think Nate has a bot farm. There are players, and I think there's teammates that have more than one account and multi-account. I don't know what your definition of bot farm is, but if it's anything more than one account, there are players and team members that are allowed to use more than one account. And while that might at first pass be oh God, they're terrible, why are they doing that? They're scamming as hell. Let's hate at them and pick on them. We use that information that first off, as a decentralized game, we don't want to step in and say you can play and you can't, because that's against the ideas of decentralization. What we want is to make sure that those bot farms are not incentivized to run a million different accounts that are bronze, rather than just be badass champion levels. And so that's some of what the rank rewards are about. But also if there is that experience on the team and we have a better understanding of the incentives and the reasons, then we can make thoughts and changes and plans. So I don't know. I don't want to get too into that because I don't, it's up to every player, I think, has the right to make up their own decisions about how they want to interact with this game. But some of the best tips that we've gotten are from actual bot farmers in terms of how should we handle bot farms, regardless of whether they're on the team or not.
Also, one of the other things to add is KYC tournaments. KYC tournaments are going to be, if that's what you want, you need to make a point of stating that because we need to know that that's something that you want to start implementing.
All right. What else do we have here? Is the Splinterlands team in contact with Google to remove the Splinterlands scam pages? Yes, and we're working with a team or like an outsourcing tool to help automate that. If you consider doing flash sales or special one-off sales for booster packs, example, for the next 48 hours, get 10% off pack prices, similar to the one-off SPS discount that was offered during Chaos Legion pre-sale. Thanks for doing these town halls. Yeah, we don't do a lot of that because we're not really like super sales driven, but it's something that if we feel like we need more cash or something, we might do. But at the moment, it's not pressing. Let's see how the updates that are going to be announced this week go, and we'll make up our mind about flash sales and things after that. UX. Oops, I disconnected for a second. What is the land team currently working on? Is it only UI UX graphics assets? Is it still being designed mainly, or is there actual land development being made? InvestYGator, can you talk for the other teams at all?
I can talk a little bit about it. I'm not fully involved, but so part of the thing with land is also it's tied in with the Splinterlands Tech 2.0. We're looking at improving the technology we're using that the game runs on to be more modern. So there's a lot of work going on with kind of redoing things in a more modern technology architecture rather than like do land and then redo it. So there's a lot of background work that's going on. There's probably going to be some changes that are precursors for land coming out in the next couple months. You probably won't notice them as a player, but we're going to be doing some groundwork for that coming out before.
Well, like the non-card market is an example of that. You got to get that out. And we have only 3 minutes left, so I'm going to try to cruise through. But the next piece, you won't say, "Hey, where's land?" We're going to get out like the non-card market, which is a precursor for land. You won't necessarily say, "Oh, that's land," because we're not going to populate it at first with actual land. But we're going to get like titles and other things that we'll be trading, and that's a precursor to land. Can we please make a priority out of not allowing bots to buy cards on the same block? Is that in the fix that's going out on the 20th? No, but it is one of the things that we know, and we're going to try to get that in soon. Can you guys give some tender love and care to the mobile app? We've hired like an entire mobile team, so we'll see how that goes. Following up on this, are team members allowed to use bot farms? How many of them have bot farms? Nate, I already answered this question. I'm skipping that.
Why they use my name? I'm not smart enough to do bots.
Yeah. So I think that's our last question. We only got 3 minutes. Anything that any of the guys here want to chime in? Anything that we missed that you think is important?
No, I mean, I think there's a lot of cool, passionate ideas out there. Like, I think Gank's ideas, I hope he doesn't feel like he's being dismissed. I think that a lot of the ideas that are being tossed around in Mavericks chat to help fix the game, these are welcome ideas. We really, really embrace the discourse. And if it weren't for our Mavericks bringing up these points and chatting about it and helping to figure stuff out, in fact, I think a lot of some of the solutions to the game that are in the game right now are because of these discussions. So don't stop. In fact, I would probably go so far as to say is please submit a lot of these suggestions, if not to the feedback page, then to the devs you see here on the town halls, so that we can include them in our strategic thinking as we work through. Maybe they're not hot fixes because we got all this other stuff we're juggling, and we don't want to break those things as we work on rank rewards and what's the other thing? Modern Wild and all this stuff that's going to affect the code for all of that stuff. So as we, if we see an opportunity to kind of like improve as we go, then we're going to take that feedback in mind.
Yeah, I guess my general thought is that I'm seeing more progress in the, we moved from this sort of like waterfall development, we moved to agile, and then as we moved to agile, we went from 1 team to 4. So I think we're seeing faster development than before. It doesn't feel that way because as we're getting deeper into projects, we're saying, okay, the scope of the game is growing, the number of people is growing. If we go and put out the tools the exact same way that we've done, we don't think that they're going to be able to support the project for the lifetime of the project because we keep running into bottlenecks. So what we're doing is you're sort of over engineering the pieces to make sure that every single piece works for the long haul, and it takes more time to go do that. And you guys are seeing it, so it feels like things are slower, but what they really are is we're actually just building the most modern tech that we can in the best way that we can to make sure that it scales really well. And I think that the players will appreciate that in the long run, even if it feels like it's going slower now. I can tell you we are making better code faster than we've ever done before. So with that, I think we got to end it here. Thank you for being here. Thank you to the team members. Thank you to Gavin and EarnKeeper.io, and look out for announcements over the next couple of days. It should be awesome. Bye, guys.